We know that DoxyPEP works for chlamydia, for syphilis, but not so much for gonorrhea, right?
That's correct.
It's related to the resistance.
Right, because gonorrhea is an organism which is very prone to develop resistance very quickly once you use any antibiotics. And we've seen that over the history of antibiotic development, as soon as you use an antibiotic for gonorrhea, the bacteria becomes resistant very quickly. So that's why it is a bacteria listed by WHO among the potential threat in terms of antimicrobial resistance, because we don't have a lot of options to treat gonorrhea.
Right. What is the rate of resistance in France?
In France, 92% of the isolates are resistant to gonorrhea, to tetracycline, and 20 to 30% highly resistant. That's why DoxyPEP is a strategy that is not aiming to target gonorrhea. And we were not expecting to get any efficacy because of the high rate of resistance. So this strategy is really for chlamydia and syphilis.
Right. And what about the implication of DoxyPEP in the future options of treatment for gonorrhea?
So as long as gonorrhea is already highly resistant to tetracycline or doxiciclina, these drugs are not recommended for treatment because treatment is bound to fail. So what we've seen in our study was that using DoxyPEP, you increase also the level of resistance to tetracycline, and especially high-level resistance is increasing. And the concern might be that you may select clones that carry the TETM gene associated with high-level resistance to tetracycline and doxycycline. And at the same time, clones who are carrying also some PAN-A allele who might be related to cephalosporin resistance. It's not only the use of DoxyPEP, it's the use of doxycycline in general, because since 2020, we have discontinued the use of almost azithromycin to treat chlamydia, and we rely more and more on doxycycline. So we are using much more doxycycline than before, and indeed we may select lineages of gonorrhea that are more resistant to tetracycline and at the same time more resistant to cephalosporin. That's why it is important to do a good job in surveillance data, surveilling the resistance of gonorrhea.
And what about the impact of nasopharyngeal staphylococcus or the microbiome? So
doxycycline is an antibiotic which has a lot of activity against a lot of bacteria. And so if you use it for post-exposure prophylaxis, for example, you have an impact on the carriage of Staph aureus or strep A in throat. And the studies have shown that people using DoxyPEP have a lower rate of carriage with Staph aureus, for example. But if they carry Staph aureus, the rate of doxy resistance is increased, which is expected. The same is true for strep A. So that means that in someone using DoxyPEP, if this person has strep A pharyngitis or Staph aureus skin infection, you shouldn't use doxy to treat this person until you have the antibiotic susceptibility available.
Right, and the microbiome?
On the microbiome, the data are quite reassuring because doxycycline doesn't have any activities against anaerobes. So the impact on the microbiome is really limited, and the studies which have been conducted have not seen an impact on the gut microbiome, no impact on the microbiome diversity. The only thing that was seen in the microbiome was an increase in the expression of gene with resistance to tetracycline, but not to the other antibiotics, which is quite reassuring.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.